Hi, everybody. This is Tom, and this is Culture Chap. So, today I want to talk to you about a very old play called The Rivals by Richard Sheridan. So, I don't know how many of you have seen it. It seems to have fallen out of popularity, which is unfortunate. And I wanted to make a short video. I hear you when you leave comments saying, I like you. I like what you have to say. But your video was 25 minutes. Got it. This will be a short video. So I'm not going to go into the whole plot. Let's just hit the exciting parts. So it's great for costumes. It's a great rom-com. It's great historically. It hits a lot of the things that people really love. They're sort of curious about in multiple countries, especially in the UK. So it takes place in Bath, not Bath, Bath, which is in the south of England, which is sort of a spa town. So people go there to take the waters. The waters have minerals in them, that kind of thing, bathing in the waters like the Romans did. So it was very popular at the time. This play was written in 1775 and was backed by the Duchess of Devonshire, Georgiana. Now, there's a movie about her with Keira Knightley that, who knows if it's all fact or not, but you do see Sheridan and Georgiana going to see The Rivals. If you're curious when that is, it's when she walks past the guy and compliments his drawing of her. That's quite good, she says. I'm very fond of Georgiana because apparently the English side of me was put together by Georgiana, who was a bit of a yenta, if you know what that means, a bit of a matchmaker, as her own life was not going so well romantically. She liked to put others together. So it's said that the furniture makers part of my family in England, there was a woman who was teaching her how to paint a table, which was very popular at the time. And she introduced him to the stonemason part of my family, who were very popular, only the best for Georgina, who was putting together the fireplace, and she insisted that they all work in the same room. When you're instructing someone how to paint something, I'm not sure you should be in the same room as the stonemason with his chisel, but she formed this marriage, apparently, as the story goes. So I think that because her life was not so wonderful, that she probably did help fund and influence this play, because her life was not so great as far as her romance. And there's lots more you can see in the movie about that. I'm not going into it here. And she was very good friends with Sheridan, who was a man living in Bath, a little beyond his means. And he married a very popular singer of the time. And as was the custom of the day, she gave up her singing career. Although it was a very lucrative, and this really wasn't the best idea financially for them, to start living beyond their means. He started writing poetry, he started writing plays. Georgiana encouraged Sheridan to have many more parties and many more private events where his wife would sing. And his wife would sing at Georgiana's events and house as well. So they were better attended, more networking. It's all very interesting, the backstory. Which is something I'm only telling you now because I think you should include it if you have a backstage tour, or if you have a talkback, which I call prologues or epilogues, whether it's before the show or after the show, about this play. And I think the more you do historical plays, 200 years old, 400 years old, whatever the case may be, that it makes it all the more interesting for your patrons to see a little bit of the history of the writer, why you're doing this piece, how they got to the piece. Maybe they can make correlations in the piece about the people involved in putting it together. Since Georgiana, Duchess of Devonshire, has her own movie, and there's a lot of stuff about her in history, maybe you'll see correlations in the play. There aren't that many obvious ones, but people like a mystery. And Sheridan and why he wrote it, it's all very interesting. So it's a bit of a mystery. The play has wonderful characters, and it really is an incredible rom-com. The costumes are amazing. It's all peignets and big wigs. You don't have to do it exactly like that. I think you need to go after the costumes And if you need help on that, there's some pictures here from Dangerous Liaisons. Those are the type of costumes, peignets, wide skirts. These are all rentable. Really, they're all rentable. And you don't need more than one costume per show. They're hard to get into, hard to get out of. And it's not necessary. One spectacular costume per character per show that you can rent. When it comes to the wigs, maybe that's a problem for you financially with the way things are going in the world economically. There are other answers to wigs. So in a spa town, they are on display, but they are also on holiday. They're on vacation. So, and when you're in a town that is a spa town, there is bathing quite a bit. So, are the hairstyles more relaxed? And is something that you can get away with something that is not an updo white powdered wig? Are there other options available for you that are just as beautiful? Okay, so you don't spend your whole budget on wigs or your wigs being maintained. Think about this, be creative with it. You may get criticized, it doesn't matter. You've spent the money on the amazing costumes. The set can be beautiful, but it's held in these drawing rooms. It doesn't need a lot more than that. The drawing rooms, because the paniers have wide open doors, good, easy, and they often don't have sofas that are like modern sofas. They're things that can accommodate wide skirts, or they can be benches that can do double duty for other things because they have to sit. The characters are fascinating. Their names are fascinating. Captain Jack Absolute. Nice. There is Julia Melville and Mrs. Malaprop and Lydia Languish. What a fantastic name. Now, Mrs. Malaprop, this play is the place that we get the word malapropism, because Mrs. Malaprop is the comic relief, often played by a man. I'll come back to that one. I think it might be a mistake. Often played by a man, and she's a little bit dyslexic. Not exactly dyslexic in the terms that you're thinking of. She makes mistakes. That's part of the comedy, so I don't want to blame it on something neurodivergent. I think she's probably just meant to be a silly old lady who is the charge. She's the lookout for the young lady, Julia Melville. She's the chaperone. And I think that she's a little above herself, and she just makes mistakes. Here, the word malapropism means you've exchanged one word for the other that sounds slightly similar. Slightly. So she has lines like, oh, do be careful walking by the lake, or the allegories may bite you. Now, she meant to say alligators, but she didn't have the right word. So she said the allegories may bite you. It's things like that. So as a comic relief character, I think we're veering into panto area by having a male play her. And also, why are you not giving older actresses a job when they could be equally as funny? So I think often the idea with a male playing her is that it's someone who's of a larger stature, who's wearing these silly dresses, and then automatically you see someone that's obviously a male in sort of a panto style comedic look, and you immediately laugh when she comes in, just from the image. And I think we're moving away from that these days in modern day, okay? With trans people and trans rights and all kinds of things happening, I don't think that should be the arc of your joke. And give older actresses a job, all right? She can be anything. She doesn't have to be mannish looking. She doesn't have to be dumpy and weird and unattractive and so forth. It's all in the comedy. It's all in the writing. It's all how she plays her. The idea of chaperone in a lot of these plays and movies is already funny as it is because they're an awkward third wheel. Now, Mrs. Malaprop is often the third wheel, the fifth wheel, whatever. She says funny things. But if you think back on all the things you've seen, maybe you've just seen the Beatrix Potter movie where the chaperone, she's getting drunk, she's not watching Beatrix. They're always sort of comic relief. So let Mrs. Malaprop be who she is. It's all in the writing, and it's all how you direct her in the comedy. So there's not that many characters, and now that I'm talking, I can't remember exactly how many there are. 8? I think 8. So it won't break the bank. We've talked about the set. The set doesn't have to break the bank. It's just meant to be beautiful. It doesn't need a lot of things. It needs good costumes. It doesn't need a lot of props. It needs fans that they can crack because fan language was part of the language at the time. It needs attractive costumes, attractive hair, however you want to do it, and people who really have a command of the language and know what they're getting into with this slice of English society at the time. And instead of sort of embracing that this is the elite in the spa town on holiday, think of it differently. This is some of the elite, some of the not so elite, some of the working class trying to look like landed gentry. If you sort of look at the different rungs of English society at the time, this play is trying to break it up a little bit. Now, there's no cockneys or people of way lower class in it, but there's a little different class system, the military, how they're considered. You don't have to get that far into it, just get an idea of what they are and why someone should not marry someone for that reason, and let that inform your actors. Because this also is a declaration of love. We should be in love. When Julia falls in love with her paramour, I like playing it like a telenovela, like they're just so much. And maybe you have like romantic, slow Mozart music playing when they're in love and they're from each other. It's really funny. It's really funny. Whereas Lydia Languish is a little more like Therese Racan with like, oh, I'm fainting and it all can be really good, and how you do those different levels of comedy and how your audience recognizes the style and the multiple styles in this piece, because you can't have multiple styles of comedy. It's not pratfalls, it's not slapstick, it's a little bit of comedy of manners. So if your audiences like Importance of Being Earnest, that kind of thing, they like Shakespeare, if they like having just a hint of like, oh, that guy's not of their class. Oh, that guy doesn't measure up. Why? Does he not have enough money? Is this a little bit like Jane Austen? What's going on here? It doesn't go into deep depth on why, and neither do you, but you can have those layers in there. The Rivals sells tickets. Everyone seems to go. Now, I've said it's not been as popular or not been as done, but in my limited experience in the places that I work, it's been done quite frequently. And I wonder, am I biased from where I've worked that classical plays are done more frequently? Who knows? But if you want a surprise and you don't want to pay the playwright, and your version of classical plays that work for your audience are things like Importance of Being Earnest, which in the scheme of things is not that old. It's quite recent as far as classical plays. And maybe you should go back farther and think about the popularity of these kind of costumes. Dangerous Liaisons, hugely popular, and more than just the story. It was the fashion, it was their manners, and there are more stories like that we should capitalize on, okay? I think a comedy, a rom-com, a classical rom-com, you don't have to pay the playwright, you can rent the costumes, you don't have to build them. It could really work for you, especially if you have good actors and actors of various ages, because this isn't necessarily an entirely young cast. Lydia, Julia, probably Captain Jack, are all young. The other ones don't necessarily have to be, okay? So think of a wide range of ages, just like you're thinking of a wide range of slightly similar styles of comedy. And you'll have something golden that your audiences will go crazy for. Okay, I've talked long enough. There'll be a lot of stuff in the description that you can check out. See if the plot is something you want to do. See if there's something online that you want to view. There have been different iterations of it. I would find something online that is really hugging the original. Doesn't change the costume, doesn't change the time period, doesn't change the locale. You don't need to do that. This doesn't need updating. Okay? The more you honor the era, especially costume-wise, the more people will think about the movies they've seen, the costumes they've seen, that automatically put you, in this time period, I see. Yes, women couldn't make their own money. Got it. It's ingrained in us, basically, in every country in the world. We understand when we see this image, what the limitations for women of this class are, and of every class, because there wasn't many options for women. Either you were up here or down here, and in the middle was tough. Okay. Very funny. Have a read. It's online. All is in the description, and we'll talk again. Thanks. And I've added Buy Me a Coffee if you want to. That'd be great. And please subscribe. I need subscribers. Okay. Talk to you again. Thanks.